Hi Flosstube, I'm Rachel, Stitchy Rach here on Flosstube and on Instagram. It is Monday the 28th of November and this is a YouTube channel about cross stitch. Hi everyone, hi, I'm here when I said I was going to be here. Last week when I recorded, so I recorded a week ago and I said I would do a video this Monday, and even when I said it I was like, oh, is that going to happen or not? Because I'm not the best at keeping to a schedule. I try, but it doesn't always work out. And here I am. So I have managed. Part one of my Flosstube Christmas Flossmas plan has gone to schedule. So you never know. There's hope for the rest of it. Sorry, itchy nose. Welcome if it's your first time here. I do hope you'll stick around and see what I have to show you. I'm not always as well at the start, I promise. And thank you very much if you're already a subscriber and you're here to watch my latest offering. I think it'll be fairly quick this week, she says, looking at the big pile of stuff next to her. Because I only filmed a week ago, so there's only a week's worth of stitching to catch you up on. For those of you that didn't watch the last video, the reason I'm filming today, which is only a week after my last video, is that I am intending to do Flossmas this year. So I'm hoping to do a short little film every day, definitely until the 24th of December. Whether we do any more after that or not will depend. I can't see me filming on Christmas Day. Sorry guys, busy here on Christmas Day. But yes, certainly in the run-up to Christmas Day, I intend to do a little short film every day. And so this is going to be my last proper Flosstube until maybe 2023. But I might try and sneak in a proper Flosstube between Christmas and New Year. So I might do Flossmas kind of to Christmas Day and then have a break and then do a proper Flosstube between Christmas and New Year. That's how it's thinking at the moment, but we'll see. But this is going to be my last proper Flosstube until then, so you'll just get little daily updates from me hopefully after this. So yeah, without further ado, I'm a little bit more on top of Christmas than I was last week. Not as much as I'd like to be still, but I have bought some wrapping paper. Nothing to put in the wrapping paper, but I have bought some wrapping paper. So, you know, I can keep you up to date with the trials and tribulations of my Christmas preparation as well, maybe. Sorry, slurp of tea. Right, so what have I got to show you in terms of stitching? I have 3 whips to show you. I have no finishers. I definitely have no FFOs, which won't surprise anyone that's been here ever. Yeah, 3 whips, no finishers, no FFOs. I have some plans, I have a little bit of haul, and I have a giveaway, and I think that will probably do us for today. The haul's really little actually. It's kind of stitching adjacent as well. It's not a chart or threads or anything. So yeah. Okay, shall we dive in? Let's go. So, whips. What have I been stitching on since I last saw you? Well, obviously I showed you my really big finish last Monday, so I've got nothing as groundbreaking as that. But I have been continuing to work on House on Pumpkin Hill. So this is my out and about stitching. This is a piece I take with me when I'm not at home and I am waiting usually for children to complete activities. This has come a reasonable way since you saw it last week actually. I'm quite proud of the progress I got on this in a week. I'm just going to fold it up because from past experience I know this linen is a little bit see-through, but here is where it is. So I think since you last saw it, that house has basically been built. I think there was the tiniest line of roof when I showed it last Monday. So yeah, I've built that house this week. So I'm just now filling in the windows and doors. And then we will progress down to that giant pumpkin at the bottom. So I still think this will be a finish this year. I think I've had 8 finishes so far this year, so this would be finish number 9. But I'm pretty confident I can get this finished. So, as I said, this is House on Pumpkin Hill by Stacey Nash Primitives. It's stitched on 32 count. Belfast linen in charcoal by Zweigart, which is the called for. and it's stitched in all the called for threads, which are 4 Gentle Art sampler threads. Yeah. I keep it all in this awesome Penelope's pocket project bag. Yeah, which I love. You all know I love a Penelope's pocket project bag. So there we go. So that's the first thing I've been stitching. So that has remained my out and about stitching and is going to continue to do so until it is finished, which I hope will be soon. Right. Then, as I said in my film last week, I was going to start stitching on cardinal points because that was the only goal on my WIPGO board that still had to be completed. So I did. I got it out. Maybe I'd already... No, I showed you cardinal points last week, didn't I? Because I'd already started stitching on it. Yeah, so I'd already started stitching on cardinal points because I was saying I was ashamed of myself that only a quarter of it was done. Ah, it's all flooding back now. So I carried on stitching on this until Friday. So I stitched on it on Friday and then I put it away. So for those of you not familiar, this is Cardinal Points. It's by Julia Line from Log Dog Samplers, but it's exclusive to guests. So you can't get this from the Long Dog website. You can only get it through retailers that stock or can order from Gentle Arts. I know Lakeside Needlecraft in the UK carry them if you're interested in getting that pattern over here. So where did I get to before I put it away? So I kind of finished the bottom border, not fully, but the vast majority of the bottom border is what I stitched last week. So, there we go. Trying to make sure you can see it. Can you see that? The fabric's massive. There you go. So, yeah, I made it out to that corner bit. So yeah, I just worked my way along the border really. It's quite fiddly, the border. I know it looks like big chunks of colour, and for the most part it is. But if you look really closely at the leaves, there are kind of a few little leaves that come off the branches, and then the big leaves are actually 2 colours. And then you've got this main vine, which is in 1 colour, and then the stalks for the leaves and the flowers are actually different colours. So there's a lot more going on in that border than it looks at first glance. So there is a lot of stopping and starting. And I also brought this border here along and up, so that wasn't done. So I finished that as well. So yeah, maybe that'll be a finish in 2023. Maybe that should be a focus for them. These are the threads. Obviously it was charted for Gentle Arts, so they're all, I've done it in the called for, so they're all Gentle Arts threads. It's an amazingly beautiful colour palette. There they are. I'm not going to go through them individually, but it is just beautiful. I cannot recommend this enough. I'm stitching mine 1/1 on 36 count white linen, which I think is, the called for is 18 count with 1 strand, but I'm just doing it on linen, but so the same thickness. And this is kept in a House of Stitch and Stash project bag. It's got a nice handle. These are very squishy bags, I do like them. Yeah. So that's that one. Right, and then when we spoke last week, I said that I was going to look, once I'd done a week stitching on cardinal points, which has completed my WIPGO board for 2023. I haven't blacked out all the squares yet. I know, just quickly, for those of you that don't do WIPGO, Jessie Marie draws the numbers for WIPGO on the 27th of the preceding month. So, you know, the January numbers for 2023 will be drawn on the 27th of December 2022. So you've got time to get your stuff organised. Anyway, so she has technically drawn the numbers for December, although obviously there are only 2 numbers left on the board, given we're in December. But I never tick them off till the 1st of the month, because I'm like, well, that's the goal for December. And you know me, and a rule, and cheating yourself. So on the 1st of December, I will black out those and I'll finish my highlight reel on my Instagram. But yes, all my stitching for my WIPGO is complete, so I'm going to treat myself to a little bit of a treat for having completed it, because I've never done that before. As I say, if I complete it again next year, I won't treat myself to the same extent. I've just realised I've left something on the printer that I was going to show you. I'll go get it when we get there. Okay, so that was a big segue from saying, when we spoke last week, I said I was going to look through my WIPs for after I'd finished my week stitching on cardinal points to see if I had anything that could potentially be completed in 2022 and get those off the plate. And I did. I identified 3 things. I think 2 are things I can definitely finish, and one's a bit of a aspirational target, shall we say. But I have started stitching on one of the ones that I think I can genuinely get finished. So this has been a WIP this week as well. And this is Modern Folk Embroidery. I never know how to say this, but so I'm just doing my best. A Japanese hiragana sampler. And it looks like this. I love this. I think I started this in 2020 in Stitch Mania, I think. And this is where it is at the moment. So I think that is pretty realistic to be finished before the end of the year. So this has only had 2 evenings of stitching, and one of those I wasn't feeling very well. So Saturday night, I had a head cold coming or something. I felt terrible. I'm fine now. It was just kind of a 24-hour thing, but it was a bit... I didn't feel great, it must be said. So when I picked it up on Saturday, this bottom line of letters wasn't, symbols really, rather than letters, wasn't finished. So I think I did the last 4 symbols on that line, and then all that bottom border work I've done in 2 nights of stitching. So I think that's pretty good. So what is left is the rest of these flowers and this bottom border. I think that is 2 nights, 3 nights, absolute maximum to finish that. The top line of symbols hasn't been done yet, and these flowers. So I think a week stitching, maybe, and that could be done. I definitely think it's a finish by year end anyway. So there we go. I've stitched this on 40 count antique white linen by Zweigart, and the thread is Silks for You PR150, I think. The reason I say I think is because they all come in bags, so they come like this. And there's my silk. It's a hank of silk. I'm probably not looking after it very well. Don't tell anyone. But yeah, they come in these bags. And I ordered a few different hanks of silk. And one of my children in that toddler stage got hold of them and just took them all out of the bags. So I think I matched them back to the correct bags. But I might not have done. So anyway, I think PR150 by Silks Here, and I really like it. It is variegated blue, and I just think that looks quite inky. So yeah, so that's what I've been stitching on this week. They're all my WIPs. Right. Plans. Well, I've touched on plans a little bit there, haven't I? Obviously I want to finish Pumpkin House, and I want to finish the Japanese hiragana sampler. So I think that's 2 finishes that should happen this year. And then I went through my WIPs. I think I've got about 35 WIPs at the moment. I did work out, I didn't think I'd started that much this year, and I haven't. I've just finished even less than I started, so I'm not net. I would like to be net flat by the end of the year, and I think I need 10 or 11 finishes. I'd have to double check that. 10 or 11 finishes, I think, to be net 0 WIPs this year, i.e. I'm coming out of the year with the same number I had going in. and I've got 2 more starts planned. It's not looking likely, is it? Anyway, it is what it is. But I went through all these 35 whips and they're all blooming massive. They're all absolutely massive, and with not much stitching on them, if I'm entirely honest. So yeah, this is why Love Your Whips 2023, or Loving My Whips 2023, or whatever I've called it. Because I want to stitch on some of them and I want to get some of them finished. Anyway, so having gone through all my whips and established that they're all massive and not very near finishing, I did find 2 that I thought could potentially be a finish for year end. The first one I'm going to show you is the second one I think is realistic to finish, and this is Fox Forest by Owl Forest Embroidery. This was my New Year, New Start in 2021, and I had a big push at the end of 2021 to try and finish it, and I didn't get there, and then I don't think I've stitched on it at all in 2022. I think I stitched on it so much I just wasn't feeling it anymore. But this is where it is. So it is quite close. It is quite close to a finish, this one. I do love it. I really love it. It reminds me of Needles Dance as well, which is another finish I have. I'd love to put it quite close to Needles Dance. I'm going to have a gallery wall of some stitching. I was talking to my husband about this last night. I think we're going to have a gallery wall, and a lot of it will be stitching. But I'd like to hang this and Needles Dance quite close to each other. This is just done with all the kit materials. So Owl Forest, I don't know if you can get them in the UK at the moment because they're a Russian company. Obviously I bought this long before all the craziness in Ukraine. But all that is left to do on this is, I'm just having a quick look. Oh no, I'm on that side. Sorry, I wasn't on the side I think I am. So I've got to do this green tree here, this fox here, and the border. So I think that is pretty achievable actually by year end. So I'm on this side here. So I just need to do the tree and the fox and then the border all around. So again, I don't think I'm being unrealistic because I think that Japanese one, a week max. So yeah, that is doable, isn't it? So that's hopefully 3 things I can get finished by year end. Said that last year I was going to finish Fox Forest by year end. Yeah, come on Fox Forest, I don't want to take you into 2023 with me. Be good to get my 2021 new start finished before 2023, wouldn't it? And the final thing, and this one is a wing and a prayer, it really is. This one is a wing and a prayer, but I was kind of, it's a potential out and about for when I finish Pumpkin Hill. It's not massive, and I was inspired by Jenny Wilson, Jenny at 1679, I think, on Instagram, because she has just finished, well, she's finished this year the whole series of these. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Seasons of the Heart Spring by the Blue Flower. These were in, I think these might be released next year, but these were in the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine that I get a digital subscription to, which is where I got my chart from. And I think I started this last year for Stitch Mania 2021. Maybe. Not sure. I think 2021 Stitch Mania. And this is why I said this one's a bit of a wing and a prayer, because this is where I am. So I am not super far along. I'm really not. I've done, what? The swirl and some of the greenery and 1 flower. So there is a lot to do. But it isn't huge. I think I worked out it's like 100 by 80 or something like that. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Yeah, it's like 100 by 80. And if I think on my alphabet, each one of those squares was 80 by 80. So, you know, and there's a lot of negative space. So maybe. This is in the maybe pile. But this was the third most likely to be finished by year end, which gives you some impression of what state... Oh, there's 2 needles in here. Which gives you some impression of what state everything else was in, if I'm honest. So this is stitched in all the called for DMC. I think it's charted in DMC. I don't think it's charted in anything fancy. Let me check that. Oh, sorry, I was just checking you couldn't see the pattern. No, it's charted in DMC. And I've stitched it on 32 count Belfast linen in the colour Ravencore by Chromatic Alchemy. And there is room on this piece of fabric to do all 4, because it's one for each season. So I could get all 4 on there. So yeah, that's a bit of a wing and a prayer, but you never know. You never know. You never know. Right. Shall I pause? Because I need to go and get this thing off the printer. Yeah, I'm going to pause. I'll be back in 2 ticks. Right, I'm back. Sorry, I had to go and get something off the printer. So while we're still on plans, I said there's 2 new starts that I'm planning. So one is, I'm not going to go and get it, but one is the 4 Calling Bears section of my 12 Days of Christmas sampler by Bothy Threads, because I'm doing each of those as an individual ornament. So I think that's going to be my Christmas Day start. So I'm kind of putting that to one side for now. But the other thing I want to start between now and the end of the year is this, and it's Temperature Tree by Stitching Mommy. I'm sure you've probably all seen this. I think my camera might be a bit wonky today. That or I'm wonky. Everything seems to be held up wonky. Anyway, so I've wanted to do a temperature sal for ages, and I really like this one. It's a few years old now, so lots of people did it a few years ago, but I wanted to do one for a really long time, and always felt that I had too many other stitching commitments, but this year I'm going to go for it. But that does mean I want to get the tree and the branches stitched before the end of the year, so that come next year I can just stitch the leaves. So, you know, that on top of the other stuff, we'll see. At least if I get the main trunk done on the first few branches, then that'll be a big step, won't it? I need to pick out some fabric for that. I've got to tidy. I'm in the spare room, which as usual is a complete bomb site. And actually all my fabric stash is out on the spare bed, which is just behind the camera. So I don't have time to do it today, but I do need to spend some time in here this week to tidy up, because we're having guests over Christmas. And while I do that, I might try and find some fabric in my stash for this. But I have picked out the thread for the tree. I think there should be enough here. So this was a freebie that I got ages ago from XG Designs when I ordered some fabric, and this lovely brown came in the parcel, and I've been wondering what to use it for, but obviously I think this tree trunk will be perfect because it's got a lovely variegation, and there's 4 yards, 4.4 yards of it, so 4 meters. So I think that will be plenty to just do the tree trunk and the branches. We'll probably use most of it actually, so I think that'd be a really good use for it. So yeah, so need to find some fabric for that, and that is in my plans. Right, let me show you this tiny bit of stitching adjacent haul. So I have no proper haul. I bought nothing in the last week at all stitching related. But yesterday I went out with one of my friends to an antiques fair at the Kent Showground. I wasn't really going for anything in particular. I just wanted a bit of a mooch and see if there were any kind of things for Christmas presents. And I didn't buy any Christmas presents, but I did buy something for me. Sorry, bit of a tickly throat. One of the things I bought from, well, the only thing I bought for me was this, and I love it. Look at that. It's not focusing properly on it as it's focusing on me. It is a little pewter. I'm going to focus. It is a pewter pincushion. Let me see. Let me get a piece of paper. See if it'll focus better if I put a white, kind of a white screen behind it. There you go. It's a pewter pincushion in the shape of a shoe. I love shoes. I just thought it was super cute. It didn't cost me very much money. And I've started stitching in hand more. So, can you see it's got kind of a velvet. I'll probably take these pins out. These are just pins that were in it. Well, I started stitching in hand again more. Not on some of the bigger pieces, but like that Japanese sampler, I was stitching that in hand. For me, it's more how big the project is rather than what count the fabric is. I have no rhyme nor reason to what I stitch in hand and what I don't, basically, is long and short of it. But having started stitching in hand again more, which is how I learnt. I learnt to stitch in hand, and then I moved to hoops and frames to try and make my stitches look neater. And I think now, actually, I used to rush when I stitched in hand, and I don't think I rush as much now. And I, to be honest, I can't tell the difference between pieces I have stitched in a frame and pieces I've stitched in hand anymore. So, yeah. And you know what I do sometimes, even on the same project, I'll stitch a bit in hand and a bit on a frame. I digress. My point being that I'm not using needle minders as much, because when you stitch in hand you don't want a big heavy needle minder pulling down on your fabric. That does impact your tension. And so I have a really bad habit, I don't know if other in-hand stitchers do this, of sticking my needle in the arm of a chair while I'm changing threads and cutting off ends and whatnot. And obviously it's not great, because sometimes you do forget and put your hand in it, or I don't forget. At the end of the evening I'll forget to pull it out of the sofa and put it away. So I'm hoping with some pin cushions, I just have them next to me on my stitching spot, I can use that instead of the arm of the sofa. I'm avoiding some injuries. So that was my one bit of kind of stitching adjacent haul. Right, I have one more thing to do. I'm just going to do my giveaway. I'm just going to talk a little bit about my giveaway, because it's a bit special to me, this one. So before I had my long break, I went through a period of showing you old finishes on my channel, and I might start doing that again in the new year. So I have stopped for now, but this is one of my old finishes that I want to show to you. It's there you go. It's called Friendship Garden, and it's by I always get them mixed up. This one's by Heart in Hand, not Hands On Design, Heart in Hand. I don't think the pattern is available generally. It was a club kit, I think, for the Silver Needle in the US. And then Steph of Just Keep Stitching showed it on their channel. I think a lot of people tried to get it. And on one of those, I think it was a common threaded stitcher, I put that it was my unicorn chart, and someone really kindly gifted me their kit. They said they weren't going to stitch it, and they gifted it to me. And the reason I wanted it was I wanted to stitch it for my friend, which I did. I stitched this for my friend's 70th birthday. She was my neighbour and my friend, and she was very special, and she loved things with sayings on them. Her whole fridge was covered in fridge magnets with little sayings. And this one says, "A friend overlooks your broken fence and admires the flowers in your garden." I thought it was perfect for her. So I stitched it for her, and really sadly, I think I said in my last video that there had been some things going on that I wasn't going to talk about. But one of those things was that really sadly at the beginning of November my friend died. She found out earlier this year she had cancer, so it wasn't a surprise or anything like that, but yeah. So she's no longer with us, and so I asked her daughter if she would mind, that she was very welcome to keep this because it was a gift, but in the event that she didn't want it, would she mind if I had it back? Because I stitched it for my friend and I didn't want it to just end up in a charity shop, so I have it back. Anyway, the long and the short of it is, I kept the kit. because I thought I was going to stitch it again, to be honest. After I'd stitched it, I thought maybe I'll stitch it again. And now I have this back, and because I stitched it for my friend, it's now a really special piece to me. I don't want to stitch it again. Do you know what I mean? I feel like this is now her piece and I wouldn't want to stitch it again. I hope that makes sense. It's not rational, but that's how I feel about it. Anyway, I still have the kit, and I do believe this chart still has not been released to the general public. I'd say it was a gift from someone else, so I am passing it forward. It still has all the threads and the fabric in it. I used threads from my stash, and I used a pink fabric. I thought it looked really nice on pinks, and that was from my stash as well. So I didn't use any of the kit stuff, and there was also a bead on it here, and I didn't stitch the bead in either. So that is still, I think, in here. I don't think I've taken it out. I definitely didn't stitch it on. Let's have a look. Is it still in here? Yes, yeah, I can feel it. It's there. So yes, you've got some fabric, you've got the chart, you've got the bead, and you've got the threads that came with the kit. I will send this anywhere in the world. So if you would like to win this chart and stitch it for someone in your life that means a lot to you, please say the word garden in your answer. I will send this anywhere in the world. But please be over 18 so I can have your address. Please be a subscriber. Please don't say giveaway, freebie, prize, raffle, anything like that in your comments. I'll have to delete it because I want this to go to a stitcher, particularly given this is so special to me. And yeah, I hope someone else will love it and be able to stitch it for someone as special as I was able to. There you go. So this is also going to go on my gallery wall, and will always now make me think of my friend. So that is that. So obviously I'm going to be doing Flossmas, and I want to give people a chance to see this video and enter. So I will draw the winner for this. I'll use YouTube random comment picker. So I'll draw on the word garden, and I will pick it on, let me tell you what day. I will choose the winner on Flossmas number 9, so on the 9th of December. So you've got like 10 days to enter if you'd like to win this. And that is all I have. So, that's exciting, isn't it? That is all I have. So I'm going to see you on Thursday for my first Flossmas video, where I'm going to open some advent calendars. I'll show you, might be a little bit longer on Thursday, because obviously there'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night stitching. So there'll be like 3 days of stitching to show you. So I'm going to open some advent calendars, show you my stitching. And some of you said you'd like to see the random under the bed box finishes that I have. So I will get some of those out. I warn you, these are quite random. They are properly random, some of them. So you have been warned. Yeah. But I hope you're all getting in the mood for Christmas and getting ready, and more ready than I am. And until Thursday. See you later, stitchers. Bye.